Buenos días, clase. Hoy vamos a hablar sobre mandatos informales affirmativos, affirmative to commands. So, as you have been completing some of your activities, I've noticed that we are really struggling with commands and how to form an affirmative to command. Remember, an affirmative command is a command that tells someone to do something. All right, so affirmative command tells someone to do something. Now, making it informal just means that it's in the to form. You're telling someone who is familiar to you, someone your age or younger, to do something. Informal just means it's in the to form rather than the usted form. So, how do you form an affirmative command? So, affirmative commands are super easy once you remember the rule. So, to form an affirmative to command, an affirmative informal command, mandatos informales affirmativos, you take your verb, we'll go with hablar, we have hablar, our verb. You're then going to take off the AR just like you're conjugating a normal verb. You're left with your stem. Now you're going to add on the letter A for an AR verb. Habla, speak. So, you take off your AR and you add on the letter A for an AR verb. You might hear this explained as you add on the third person singular ending. So to form an affirmative to command mandatos affirmativos informales, you take off the AR and add on the third person singular ending. For an AR verb, that's the letter A. Let's try this with an ER verb. We're going to use the verb comer. So, to say eat, you take off the AR, or not the AR, the ER. You're left with your stem, COM, and then you add on your third person singular ending, which for an ER verb is the letter E. And you have come, telling someone to do something, come. So we've looked at AR and ER verbs. Now let's look at an IR verb. We're going to go with escribir, to write. So I have my verb in the infinitive. I'm going to take off my IR. I'm left with escribe. Now I need to add on my third person singular ending for an IR verb, which is the letter E. And then I have escribe, write. So that's how you conjugate affirmative to commands. Mandatos affirmativos informales. So on your homework, or one of your activities, it was asking you to put the verbs into mandatos, commands. So when you see the word mandato, that means command. So you're putting it into the command form. You take off your ending and you add on the third person singular ending. Now, just like with everything else in Spanish, I've said it once, I'll say it again. When there are regular verbs, that means there are also irregular verbs. So let's look at what those are. So we have tener and venir, poner, ir, ser, hacer, and salir. So these verbs are irregular all the time. It doesn't matter what form they're in, they're going to be irregular because that's just how they work. So we have these verbs, tener, venir, poner, ir, ser, hacer, and salir. So to do this, basically, all you're doing is taking off the ER for these first three. So we have tener. It becomes 10. It becomes 10. Venir becomes ven. We have poner. It becomes pon. P-O-N. So for those three, that's how this works. You just take off the ER and you're left with your stem. That's all you need for a command. Now the other ones, they are a little bit different. So let's look at ir. Ir becomes ve. Ir becomes ve. Ser becomes se. Ser becomes se. And hacer becomes az. H-A-Z. So ir, ve, ser, se, hacer, az. Haz la tarea. Do the homework. Sé honesta. Be honest. Ve a su cuarto. Go to your room. And then the last one we have is salir. Salir becomes sal. So, tener ten, venir ven, poner pon, ir ve, ser se, hacer haz, salir sal. So those are your irregulars for affirmative to commands, or mandatos afirmativos informales. So, all right, now let's look at the assignment ponte en forma, to get in shape or get yourself in shape. So for this assignment, what you're doing is for each of the verbs given, you are putting this into a mandato afirmativo informal. So an affirmative to command, or an affirmative informal command. So how do you do this with a reflexive verb? Well, if you notice, for number one, the te is at the end because acostar is in the infinitive, and you're saying you need to do this. So it's te at the end rather than se. Remember, you can attach the correct pronoun to the end of an infinitive if you review how to do reflexive verbs. You can look there. So what you need to do is simply put acostar into the command form and leave the te on the end. So let's do that. How do you put acostar into a command? Well, step 1, you take off the AR. You're left with your stem. Now, acostar is a stem changing verb. It stem changes O to UE. So I'll make that change. Here I am. And then I add on my third person singular ending, which for an AR verb is the letter A. So I have acuesta. Now, acostar is a reflexive verb, so I need to take that te and put it down at the bottom. Acuéstate. But I need to add in an accent mark because that is where the emphasis of the word is stressed. So the accent mark is going on the E in my stem. So I'll write that out for you so you can see it. Acuéstate. So my E gets a written accent mark, and then I just add temprano to the end. Acuéstate temprano. And that's all you do for the assignment. Ponte en forma.